Hey everybody, welcome to Game of Thrones Book Club. After a very long weekend for us, we are ready to talk about more Clash of Kings. This is a weekly meeting where we discuss pages of George R. R. Martin's The Song of Ice and Fire series. We are currently on the second book, A Clash of Kings. This is our third meeting with this book, and we had a lot of plotty stuff happen. I'm James.
I'm James.
I'm Joel.
And normally Chelsea is here, but she is resting after I just can't relate to you how insane this weekend has been. There was a Drunk Disney shoot Friday. All day yesterday, we shot a new series that's coming out. And then this morning, we went to Universal and shot some stuff for Harry Potter Clue, which will be live on our channel Saturday afternoon. But regardless, it has been an insane weekend. And this is the thing that caps it off. And after this, we'll watch Westworld, and it'll be Monday again. How's everyone doing? Oh, Graessle's messing with stuff.
I am messing with stuff. Just a sec. We're back.
Ooh, it's double me.
I'm fixing it. I'm fixing it. Wouldn't be book club.
I heard you like Joel, so put more Joel in your Joel.
All right.
Oh.
No, it's not fixed.
Damn it. It's almost fixed.
Double Joel, double Joel.
Oh no, this is still incorrect.
How is that incorrect?
Because look, go back to the YouTube page. Sorry guys. Pop this out.
I did. I don't know why it's not updating. That's what I was trying to fix, and it's not working.
But no, if you go to that window, that popped out window, it's not live.
I noticed.
Yeah, so
but I don't know.
Kill that.
I just tried to redo it.
Kill it. Kill that window. And I'll pop this out again.
That's what I literally just did. Nothing.
Cool. Last week's book club had technical difficulties that for once were not caused by us.
Yeah.
That was on YouTube. They didn't process the video correctly, so the video got all messed up. I don't know if anyone saw it. It was condensed down to like 24 minutes, and we contacted them to have them fix it, and they said they would look into it, but
their experts are working on it.
That's what they said, yeah. So in the meantime, we uploaded the audio only that you can check out on our channel. Sorry we didn't do that until today, but
we had hoped that they would fix it. So if it does get fixed, we'll upload the video as well because you like our faces, we like our faces. It's more fun. We see the chat. It's great.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we can't see the chat.
Yeah, that's not working
right now. So great. Okay.
Oh well.
Whatever.
You just have to watch the chat as you normally would. Sorry if anybody watches this full screen.
So let us know if there are any technical difficulties this week.
Yeah, let us know if anyone needs to be turned up, turned down on audio. I think it's pretty good.
I'm going to grab my water.
All right. When Graessle gets back, we'll be ready to start with Daenerys 1. Hey, Graessle, welcome back. Let's get started with Daenerys 1. So, in this chapter, it's our first Dany chapter of A Clash of Kings.
Yeah.
Took us time, waited until almost 200 pages in to get to everyone's favorite ESO storyline. And it's her in the Red Waste, which I remember in the show felt like eternity.
Felt like a real red waste.
Of time?
Yes.
Yeah. And here it's just this one chapter. And besides that, I mean, they have that City of Bones that gets left out of the show.
Yeah, that's cool.
They really dropped the ball. Like that could have been like 3 scenes in the show, and
City
it was
of Bones.
like
Red
this
Waste.
whole thing, and it was. I feel like it was 4 episodes.
I think season 2 of Dany totals like a half hour. It's not much.
Well, no, because she has to be in nearly every episode because they're paying Emilia Clarke. But as we can see, she's not in a lot of this book, so that's why her storyline in the show suffers because they're just stretching out a few chapters to.
They could have done more though with Karth than they did.
Sure.
I don't know.
We also could have gotten a little bit more in the show of what Jorah gives us from his backstory here.
Yeah, that was the other thing about this chapter, and something that really made me like this chapter a lot was Jorah and Lyness Hightower's backstory, which is, it's just Jorah's an interesting character. I think he's less charming in the books than he is in the show because he's not, what's his name? Ian Glenn? Is it Ian Glenn?
Ian Glenn.
Yeah. What's up, Joel?
Not Ian McDermott.
He's not Ian McDermott.
Not Ian McDermott.
No, it's not.
Oh my god. Never again.
Oh, thank you, Katie, for saying I look really autumn in my burnt yellow shirt. Anyway, guys, how'd you feel about Daenerys?
I like what I like about it is that like she's seeing she's trying to live up to like a legend that's kind of building around her. Like now is when they're calling her the Unburnt and Mother of Dragons. This is like the first time that we hear that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's nice that like she's like there's so many times in this is like, so I must be their strength. I have to be strong for them. They're looking to me. So like, she says like she doesn't feel like she feels older than her 14 years. So it's like, okay, like she's starting to, this is when she's first really leading. She doesn't have anyone else to lean on. She's not she's not Drogo's wife. She's the ruler in her own right. And I thought that was interesting.
The other thing I thought that was very important is the first book ends with Daenerys hatching dragons.
Mm.
And it's kind of hard. I don't know if everyone reading necessarily knows the growth rate of dragons. So that's why we get in the second page of Dany's chapter, just like laying it out. These are hatchlings. One swipe from an Iraq would put an end to them. Mm. It ends on such a triumphant note in Game of Thrones with Daenerys hatching these dragons and everyone bowing down to her. You're like, yeah, she's got dragons. Like, now she's going to kick some ass. And this chapter is like, hold up, no, actually they're not much use. They're actually maybe more of a hindrance right now because they're so vulnerable. They can get killed, they can get stolen, people will want them.
Yeah.
They're so valuable and we have nothing to defend them with. We just have weak, old men and children and women.
It's interesting from that perspective then that this is almost the best place that they could be.
True, isolated.
Yeah, even though the environment is out to kill them in a way, there aren't people there to actively try to kill them.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, like they may not make it through this, but they would surely, any way that they go, they would surely be attacked by Khalasars or by people who are mad at Dothraki. I mean, there are people dropping like flies like every day.
Like blood flies?
Yes, like blood flies.
Yeah.
But I agree, she's in a good position. I also like how she goes the direction of the comet, but that, like everyone else, even though this comet is maybe about her, she thinks this comet's about her. Mm-hmm. Or it's about the dragons. She's, like everyone else, behaving in the same way. She sees it as a sign of what is already in motion in her life, reflecting her feelings, her wants, or her fears, and she knows she can go no direction but through the red waste, and so that's what she says, we must follow the comet.
And this has got to be the last time we get this interpretation of the comet, right? Because we've checked in with every other character.
Everyone has seen it now. Yeah, I hope so.
I hope so.
Like,
okay.
I'm kind of sick of hearing. It's a fine pacing device, I suppose, but I'm kind of sick of hearing about it because it's so inconsequential.
Yeah.
We're gonna hear about it when we get to Karth, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, we'll hear about it in Karth. Yeah.
The Karthine will have to tell us what they think it is. I wonder if they think it has anything to do with them. I don't know.
I'm sure.
Well, they seem to be excited about dragons when they arrive.
Yeah. Man, this environment does sound real rough, though. Her nipples cracked and bled.
That's not fun.
Yeah.
The scene where Arya dies is really sweet and sad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very different from the show.
Yes, in the show, Arya ends up backstabbing her, working with Salador San.
Not Salador San.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Zoro Doxos.
Summer Islanders with their names, But yes, she locks her in a vault in the show.
Very, very different from this, like, really sweet, really sad kind of, like, she's been Dany's, like, closest, like, female friend, and she just has to, like, she wastes away and dies.
Because she was, like, the only other person of Western culture with her. Because remember, Arya is Lysine?
Lysine.
Yeah, whereas Irri and Jiki are Dothraki.
And she could provide a different perspective that Dany really appreciated.
Is audio rough? Audio might be rough. We have
Come on.
It's peaking. Well, it definitely shouldn't be peaking.
Well, let's not peak on you guys.
We've got a bad cable. We forgot to get it fixed.
Whenever I see
that's our bad cable. Yeah.
Yeah, let us know if that has helped at all.
Hopefully it'll get better. We're gonna get a new cable.
Okay. But yeah, Dory dies, just kind of withers away.
Travis says his audio's fine, so.
Yeah, be more like Travis, everyone.
Yeah. Travis is setting a good example for the team.
I was going to say, in terms of her leadership and the way she is leading them, but not of them, she's no longer Dothraki, but she's her own entity. She's the mother of dragons. But it's interesting to me.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, she is still respecting some of their ways, but she's picking and choosing. Like, she sacrifices that horse for the older Dothraki to have something to ride in the Nightlands, and thinks about, okay, for these people who I need to lead, maybe when my hair grows back because it was burnt off, which does not happen in the show.
Nope.
This makes more sense. I think that she's still respecting them, and that, hey, I could grow my hair like Drogo did, but also is choosing to depart from their ways when it suits her.
Yeah, like when they're skeptical of the City of Bones, and she's like, no, we really need to stop here.
Yeah.
And towards the end of the chapter, they don't get this far because they end up leaving and go to Karth, but when she has them like rip up the street stones and everything to like maybe try to grow things, that seems very contrary to Dothraki culture, because they're nomads, and if they set down roots and start growing and start more agriculture, I think she's almost creating a new culture built around her. She's their god.
Yeah, and also I think it's just cool that she has that foresight. She's like, she doesn't know how long they'll be there. Might as well start making plans to make food. And, Clarence Chow, I'm so bummed we didn't get that white lion pelt in the show. Yeah, that thing is awesome. She's all bald and, is wearing this pelt with his jaws over her head.
That would have been awesome.
There has to be fan art online of
for
Daenerys
sure
drawn in that way, and I want to see it. I would also love to see someone cosplay that. Because, you'd have to just know the character from the books to know it. Like, shaved head.
Speaking of art, we didn't do this in our intro.
Oh, thanks, dude.
But we do have a sigil, and it's really cool.
Yes, did you catch the name?
Let me pull it up. This sigil comes to us from a person whose name I'm going to say any second. They've got a really great name. It's Megan McElligott. McGilligot? McGilligot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Megan.
I'm going to pull it up now.
Wait, what's her name on YouTube? She said that. She said she's in there.
My Wonderful Towel.
Are you in here, Megan?
So here's the sigil.
Oh, nice. Look at that. There's Lucy. And there's... so that's Stag for Joel, my Mockingbird. Graessle's Wolf, which I don't know why you didn't draw Kraken.
No. I'm so happy that I'm not represented as a Kraken in this one, just because I bear passing resemblance to what's-his-face.
You're on.
To show you're on.
You're on. We're going to leave that up small in the corner.
All right.
It's a very good sigil. Thank you, Megan.
That's a good sigil.
Is that even a sigil?
She's there. Yay.
Yay. Thank you, Tao.
Second way.
Know where your towel is.
Was that the second way? We'll get it.
Cool.
Thank you, Megan. It's really cool. Back to Dany. And we get... Oh, what?
I was going to say maybe back to Jorah.
Yeah, I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. We get a lot of Jorah backstory.
Yeah, she just kind of pushes him to talk about, even though she knows, she can tell it's uncomfortable for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I love the lion pelt slid off one shoulder and she tugged it back into place. Was she beautiful? Very beautiful. So Jorah lifted his eyes from her shoulder to her face. Like, the second that thing slipped down, he was like, oh.
Yep.
I'm like, Jorah, come on. So he tells this whole long story about the love of his life and how he threw away his honor to satisfy her. And then he ends it with, well, she looked a bit like you, Daenerys. Leaves like, oof.
I don't think he's intending that to be creepy. I think that he is just...
Factual.
I think he's being factual, and he probably isn't even aware of the implication that he's providing her. I think he's just saying it and not understanding what he's revealing.
I don't know. I think he might be dropping hints.
Yeah. I think at this point he's definitely into Daenerys.
Oh, yeah.
I think he is.
Like, without Drogo, and with the time that they're spending together, and with him being... He's got to also be like, my odds are pretty great. Like, I'm the only dude who speaks her language and isn't, like, dying.
Yeah.
So...
And it's interesting that, maybe with Drogo dead now, he can be more honest with himself about his feelings, whereas before it would be like, can't even let myself think that way because I will get fucking killed.
Yeah.
And now that he's in that position, now is when he starts talking about heading east and going all the way to maybe as far as Ashai, which is going to be something that he keeps bringing up, like, hey, let's keep going this way. It can be me and you. We can be happy and free and not have to worry about iron chairs. And spoiler alert, she doesn't go for it, but he does frequently encourage it.
What did you guys think of? So James, you knew the tale of Jorah Mormont. Joel, how much did you know about his backstory?
So I knew enough that he doesn't even say what he did here, but we know that he found, or I know that
we know from Game of Thrones,
from
Ned
from Gior. That he found poachers on his lands and he sold them into slavery to pay in some way to keep his wife happy.
Which he doesn't refer to explicitly here. Sorry to interrupt, but I think it's worth noting. He says he did, I forget.
Things it shames me to speak of.
Yes.
And I think he knows his audience because she has shown distaste for slavery.
Yeah, right at the top of the chapter, she refers to the slavers' bay cities
as open sores.
Yeah, open sores upon that bay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, now she's definitely anti-slavery.
Yeah.
Thought. Go ahead, Joel.
So I knew that his wife was someone who demanded a certain level of wealth and luxury in her lifestyle. I didn't know who it was, and I didn't know that he had gone with her to the free cities and that there they parted ways.
I always forget that she fled with him.
Yeah.
I always just imagine him like stealing out in the dead of night, but no, they go together, and then she winds up being the head.
Like the chief,
the first
concubine or whatever.
Yeah.
And I love the little detail that he knows this dude's name. That
Traegar or Molin.
Yeah. And like that's just such like of course he knows this guy's name. Like of course you know what your ex is, like the guy that your ex is.
Yeah.
With. Like if you're still burning from it, you know, and Jorah's obviously still burning from it, and he's probably like, yes, this is his address. He has a scar above his left cheek. Like he probably knows everything about this guy.
Yeah, you definitely creeped on her Facebook.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what to take from this, and I think we learn a few things about Jorah and about the world that this kind of sad tale comes from, and I think Jorah is likely to make the same mistake again. He clearly will do anything for someone he loves, but also may not see the appropriateness of a match. And one thing I did not know was also how he was engaged to Hightower's daughter. That he...
Yeah, it's improbable.
Yeah, that he defeated all of these knights in a
like
tourney.
serious knights.
Yeah.
Like Selmy and
Jamie.
Jamie he like squared up with, it sounds
Selmy
like.
was I don't think Selmy was in.
Yeah, I think they talk about it later.
Or no, it might not have been Selmy, it might have been
Bronzion Royce.
Bronzion Royce, who we had heard earlier had defeated Selmy at some point.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But like people that we know to be formidable.
Yeah.
Boris Blunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's
I guess.
He's no slouch, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. Hound doesn't think very highly of him.
No, but
He
the Hound's A-list.
So improbable things kept happening to him. She granted him a favor to ride, and then he won, and then her father said yes.
Yeah.
And then you got
He's like, wait, really?
Yeah.
I think the detail that I noticed this time that I didn't notice before is that she was his youngest daughter.
Wait, what?
Yes.
She was.
Liness was Leighton Hightower's youngest daughter.
Okay.
So he wouldn't like.
So it wouldn't have been that big of a deal?
Yeah.
The greatest
like,
burden.
Yeah, like another daughter.
That's
that
what it's called?
Yeah, I
another
would.
daughter that
yeah.
you have to marry off, and because an older daughter would have gone to, a Tyrell or a Redwayne or something.
Okay.
But
and also she was half his age. And
Right.
how old was he at this point?
this was
He was probably
8 years ago at least, or 10 years ago, because
Okay.
Theon said that he left the Iron Islands 10 years ago.
And this happened right around Balon's
So
rebellion.
she would have been
Right after he was knighted.
So she would have been like
15 to his 30.
18 maybe, because he's in his 40s now, right?
He is in his 40s.
Gior's
that
like
old?
80.
Oh wow. Okay. So.
Or no, Gior's like in his 60s. Jor's probably in his late 30s.
Yeah. He's probably in his 30s. So she's
she was
probably a
like
teenager.
like 15, 16.
And I just think it's good to know that because obviously his romance for Daenerys. Part
Sure.
of the problem for her is that He's an old man, you know, and she tries to imagine like kissing on him and loving him, and it was no good. And part of that is because she's still missing Drogo. But I think the age thing is an issue for her. And he's not a handsome man in the book.
No.
She even imagines, like, I could see this as a possibility. She imagines it happening and just feels wrong to her.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, it's really hard to remember that it's not Ian Glenn in the books. It's like this hairy, bald...
Like stout,
yeah.
like burly guy.
He is not Ian Glenn.
No, he's very much the bear in the books.
Now,
But we get a description. So like
I was going to set you up. Yeah. We just have a description of her profound disappointment with all the things that Lyness is missing out on when she gets to Bear Island. But for others, it could be a paradise.
Bear Island sounds like the best place. Like I'm all about like what like the little streams that run icy
why
down
don't you
the
just give us
mountains.
a quick reading?
I will. Where is it?
197.
197. Yeah, so Bear Island is beautiful but remote. Imagine old gnarled oaks and tall pines, great. Flowering thorn bushes, gray stones bearded with moss, great. Little creeks running icy down steep hillsides, great. The Hall of the Mormonts is built of huge logs surrounded by an earthen palisade, cozy. Aside from a few crofters, my people live along the coast and fish the seas. The island lies far to the north, but our winters are more terrible than you can imagine. That would suck.
Yep, that's the part where I'm like, nope, never mind then. I will visit and stay for a week. But those terrible winters, no thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, what's a crofter?
A crofter, I want to say, is like a forester. Let's find out.
Oh, that sounds
They
right.
croft
Because they
things?
apparently live away from the shore.
Don't they raid
Person
tombs?
who works a small land holding known as a croft.
Well, what the fuck's a croft, Google?
It looks like it's
Croft.
Scottish in origin.
It's a farm?
Yeah, it's a farm.
It's a farm.
Yeah.
But really, aren't they tomb raiders?
West Germanic.
Ah, damn it, Joel. Good, you got your quote in.
Oh my god.
Let's see if I have any more.
All right.
Okay.
Anything else before we move on? Two small notes for me is one, we learned that Thoros of Myr was the first man through the breached walls of Balon Greyjoy during the rebellion. Him and his flaming sword. We might have heard that before.
I think we have heard that before.
We heard that he scaled the walls with his flaming sword. It's
Yeah.
an iconic image for people.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like, yeah,
think-
right? This is something that everyone remembers. Like, guy with the fucking crazy flaming sword.
I think other people mention at other points in the books. I don't know if it's happened so far, but I think somebody else points out that Jorah is the second through the breach.
He does, right here.
Yeah, I know, but in
Oh.
other places, like
Oh, okay.
it's known that he like had this crazy day.
It is known.
And also the other thing that I thought about is, also I love the line, do you hate her almost as much as I love her? That's how many people have thought about their exes like that. And at the bottom of 201, there were scrolls as well, but they were dry and crumbling, and Aggo had left them where they lay. Sam, somewhere far away beyond the wall, Sam just felt a ping like, oh.
There's books somewhere.
I also felt that way. I wanted to talk about the naming of the dragons because I'd never connected that Rhaegal was named for Rhaegar because of the green banks of the Trident.
Oh, because he's the green one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to Clarence's question, why Dany names the dragon after Viserys, she says that Viserys was cruel and weak and frightened, yet he was my brother still. His dragon will do what he could not. And I think that's a nice sentiment that she still thinks about him, even though he was so cruel.
Maybe she just hopes that the name will make the dragon cruel and powerful, just, in favor of her.
I like the idea of his dragon will do what he could not. Like, I think that's a really good way of kind of, Dany doesn't really know her, Dany doesn't really know her family, and this is a way of her kind of staying connected to it. Like she's her identity is so much built on on her being a Targaryen, but she doesn't really know what that is.
Yeah, and maybe this will be a way for
So-
Viserys to not be a piece of shit if his name is reborn in this dragon.
Yeah,
Sure.
you could say that the other two are definitely about embodying them with the spirit of these great warriors, but Viserys is more... Yeah, we'll see what you can do, guy.
David Spinrad, Chelsea is resting after our crazy weekend.
You've had a long one.
Long one.
Yeah.
It's amazing we're here right now. Finally, the chapter ends with 3 people from Karth coming to meet them and to take them back to the greatest city that ever was and ever will be. Pyat Pri the Warlock, Zaro Duck Sauce, which is not his actual name, Zaro Zoan Daxus of the 13, and Quaith of the Shadow, lacquered wooden mask and all. She appears in the show briefly. In the book, she's a lot more important and a lot more influential.
What's very interesting to me that I noted this time,
Yes.
and you're going to see the thing click over to John in a second, but before we click over,
Yeah.
she spoke the common tongue of the Seven Kingdoms.
Yes, they all speak a different language.
Yep.
He talks, Pyat Pri talks in Dothraki, Zaro Zoan talks in Valerian, and Quaith talks in the Free Tongue.
Why does she talk in the common tongue? Who could she be? We don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe
We still don't know.
from Westeros. Maybe.
I don't
No,
know
I
anything
think
about
that's
this.
pretty outlandish, but it would be pretty cool.
No, man, I want it to be true.
I'd be into it if it was. There's
I
a
don't
there's
know.
a there's a
Anything you're
theory, and it's
saying.
pretty intense.
Audio issues.
No.
Caitlin and Robin Blue. What are your guys' issues? What are they?
Can you hear us?
Is that better?
Yikes.
I had one more thought about Jorah,
Yeah.
his story. Another thing we can take from this is reinforcing the theme that Gior mentioned times past, love being the death of duty.
Oh yeah.
On the one hand, it's a connection that holds true, but also this is the event that Gior was referencing.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is what makes him say that mantra. All right, moving on to John 2.
Speaking of Gior,
Yeah. So in this chapter, 200 Night's Watchmen are walking through villages that they find totally abandoned, and John talks to Sam, who's feeling a little more brave, as everyone else feels a little less, and there's obviously tension rising in the Night's Watch. It's a very short chapter. It's
Yeah.
a very brief check-in with the Night's Watch.
I like the world building that happens in these chapters as the Great Ranging kind of moves north.
Mm-hmm.
That we're seeing what a wildling village is like, even though it's devoid of people, but it's built around a heart tree, as the Godswoods are in southern Westeros. And this is a giant ass tree,
Yeah,
which I
yeah.
thought was
The
super
imagery
cool
of
and
that.
terrifying.
I like that it's George's establishing. It's basically expanding on what's already been established, weirwood trees, but then just making it more foreign and strange as we get further north.
Yeah, and John says that he describes the tree as powerful, which is something that none of the other Night's Watchmen really tap into, and I think that that's kind of some foreshadowing of some of his abilities, and we meet Dolorous Ed.
Yeah!
Oh, is this the first time that we meet him?
Yeah.
Yeah!
Ah.
A squire gray of hair and thin as a pike. Bad enough when the dead come walking. Now the old bear wants them talking as well. I just imagine him kind of talking in Eeyore voice.
Oh, I think the dude who's Ed on the show is perfect.
I don't think he's perfect, but he's
Oh.
pretty good.
He's pretty
I like him
great.
a lot.
Now I do, but those first couple seasons with him, I was like, you're not as good as Book Ed, but now it's cool.
I like that he's another example of like divergent beginnings, but that everyone can end up with a nice watch and be equal. 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
he would have loved to sleep on a bed that they have there, just some straw.
Yeah, do we know how Ed wound up in the Night's Watch?
I
don't know if we ever
know
find
if we ever find out. It might
God,
be.
I hope he wasn't a bad guy.
From the sound of it, he might have just like needed a place to go.
Yeah, right.
Like, because what does he say? He says, "I was born in a house much like this, and those were my enchanted years."
Yeah. Later there were bad times.
Yeah. So
We've also got Chet here trying to mess with the hounds because that's his job now, as opposed to chilling in Aemon's warm little thing and tending to an old blind man. He is very angry, and his eyes narrow at John because there's no love lost between them.
Yeah. Well, suck less, Chet.
Well, he does suck, and we're gonna see how that plays out.
Oh dear, shit.
More mussing of Arya's hair. I feel
Yeah.
like that's
Well, okay.
I feel like that's the only thing Arya and John ever did to each other.
The
was
weird
every time they saw each other, were just like,
Yeah.
The weird thing about like mentions between John and Arya in these early books is that the original outline when the series was still a trilogy was that John and Arya get together.
Yeah.
So
And
like
Tyrion is in that love triangle.
Yes.
yeah. And like that kind of knowledge kind of informs the way I read some of those in these early books. We're getting past it now. Like,
Yeah, I
I
don't
feel
think
like
it was still.
but like
part of the
in
plans.
game for sure, where like when it's like he thought of John's, or like he thought of Arya, and those thoughts kept him warm through the cold nights and stuff like that. And it's like, I like weird, but.
Oh, Megan Rich says, I heard that Yoren told Ed women love a man in armor or uniform, but didn't tell him about the celibacy part.
That would be great.
Oh, and yeah, Clarence is
they're
confirming
confirming.
that. Oh, poor Ed.
That's fantastic.
I think that
I bet Yoren and Ed would be a rough couple guys to be around.
just no sympathy.
No sense of humor.
Yeah.
What? They have the best sense of humor.
Yeah, that's true, but like
A Stannis sense of humor,
Yeah.
just dry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that Arya and Jon's relationship, like the way they think about it, I like that it gives them so much strength because
sure.
they're for whatever it could mean later on if they did reunite. When I think about the way that we see in these chapters Sansa think about Arya, it's an afterthought, and the same with Arya for Sansa, and I like to... Yeah, it's nice to think about the best, like, strongest friendships between those siblings.
I like that they're the two kind of most remote. They're the most removed from any kind of family situation, and I like that even though they're separate from this, the thought of them as family kind of keeps them grounded, and it's comforting. I mean, Sansa, I guess, too, but she doesn't have that same kind of fondness as we'll get to when we get to her chapter. She's more thinking of her friends. She thinks of Jane Poole, and then it's like, and even Arya.
She thinks of Jane Poole, her best friend, who she didn't treat that great when she was around.
Sure, but
Frenemies.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice to have that kind of connection to, you know, it keeps the hope of a Stark reunion alive.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a big kind of driving force as a fan, not necessarily literarily, but I think that just as a fan enjoying the series, anytime that there's mention of them from each other, I'm always like, oh, maybe one day they'll get to say that to each other. Maybe he'll get to muss her hair again, you know? And then she can kill somebody at his word, you know? Like,
hopefully not her kill him.
I really like when Gior says about Sam teaching the ravens to talk, but they never say a damn thing worth hearing, or they never say a thing worth hearing. When like there's so much about like what is the Lord Commander's raven really saying, like, you know, and then again, just like I think the previous John chapter, where it was the last one where he's like keep silent and keep my vows or whatever.
Yeah.
I like this one where he's like, we'll find them, John, I promise. And then John is like, or they'll find us. Like, I feel like John is just like action movie cliches. Like,
Yeah. Jackson, Elfin, Dolores Ed is just John's whiny side. It escaped from him and became a sentient, petulant being. We did say that John's a little less whiny in this book.
Well, we have Ed to make up for it.
Yeah, it like manifested itself into an actual person.
I think it's interesting that we get in these two chapters, Dany and John both encountering places where people used to live, and they're gone from there now.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
Ice
a really
and fire.
nice, yeah. And for presumably very different reasons.
Yeah, hopefully voluntary, it seems like.
In the case of the Wildlings, yeah.
So, like, in the song, this is, like, the instrumental break of Ice and Fire.
It's also... I'm not sure when they left, but it's also interesting to me that they talk about when they could have gone. Like, a year ago, there were still people here. And Jarman Buckwell says that a year ago Robert was king and the realm was at peace, but we know that the seeds of that were a long time planted, that things were starting to crack at the edges. So I wonder how long ago things were starting to fray and seem strange in the woods. Like, it just happened in the last year, like wildlings retreating.
I think so. To this extent, you know, it's such a big country that I think that it just takes so long to kind of get this movement going. And when we finally see the reveal of what's been happening to them, I think that it really helps build the massivity. Is that a word?
The what?
Like how massive it is.
Oh, yeah. The massiveness.
Yeah, massiveness.
Massiveness.
Wow.
Gravity,
I know
massiveness.
words.
It's been a long weekend.
It's been a long time.
All right. Are we good with John? It's such a short chapter.
He talks to Sam. Sam has ravens. Sam doesn't feel as scared anymore. Good for Sam.
Corrin coming up.
Corn coming.
Corrin coming. Speaking of Arya, Arya 4. This is a meaty chapter. This is when Amory Lorch and his dudes attack Yoren and the people headed up to the wall and light everything on fire. And Arya has to escape through that secret tunnel in the barn. And she does so after throwing an axe into the wagon that houses Jaqen and Rorge and Biter.
I like how this is the third chapter in a row where we've seen a peaceful place until somebody sees something dead.
Yeah. Oh wait, third chapter in a row?
Yeah, because it's the city of bones or whatever in Dany's, and then it's the bones that were burned inside the werewolves.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No.
And a third chapter
Weirwoods.
where everyone is just gone.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
the village is just abandoned. Wow, yeah. Good work, Joel.
Yeah,
You solved it.
I did.
Mud pie, mud pie.
Oh, God.
Lami, enjoy your time while you can.
Oh.
Arya having some thoughts about knights. That was what knights did. They kept
Yeah.
you safe, especially women.
That's so unlike. It just felt so unlike Arya.
Yeah.
Like reading that, I was like, that's a Sansa thought. Like, where is this coming from? Like, she's so desperate that she's like reverting to these old tropes.
Also, that's when she's thinking about finding Lady Went at Harrenhal. Is Lady Went the real tragic?
No, that's Hornwood, who we meet
Oh,
in BRAN.
no,
Yeah.
I
Oh, no. It's going to be tragic?
Yeah,
Oh, Joel.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I mean, in the chapter that we will get to, we spend a lot of time thinking about what her marriage is going to be.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Sorry, dude.
It's not good.
I forget what happens to the Wents. Isn't their sigil a bat?
It is a bat. I think Lady Went is killed.
Well, it's
By-
unclear to me. Sorry, go ahead.
I think it's by Gregor when Tywin moves into Harrenhal. I think that they clear him out. I don't think she's held captive any, but I could be wrong. Javier
is
isn't
not
here,
here.
so everything we say is right.
Yeah.
So, when Tywin occupies Harrenhal, the Wents were still there at that time, we think?
I think they.
Tywin would have just moved in and be like, "We're here now, deal with it." But
Oh,
if
for
Gregor
sure.
is
I'd hope
there-
that they maybe had cleared out ahead of time.
I don't think so.
No, probably not.
So Janis Slynt is made at that time the Lord of Harrenhal.
Even though she's there.
Yeah.
But the Wents were given it too. Like that, they're not ancestrally of Harrenhal. Like
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a thing that you just give to people when you want to give them a prize that
Yeah.
not really good.
I like how on 215 the green water was warm as tears, but there was no salt in it. It tasted of summer and mud and growing things. And then at the end of the chapter in 226, she got dirt in her mouth, but she didn't care. The taste was fine. The taste was mud and water and worms and life.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know what that's trying to say, but it just reminded me of each other. The taste of life, growing things.
I think that for a second, when she does revert to that, that more, I guess, normally socialized thinking for girls, that Sansa would think more about that's when there's a chance of safety. When she thinks, okay, I can go to Harrenhal, Lady Went can take care of me, I'll go north. And she reverts back to the place that she's grown into, trained by Syrio, and repeating those mantras for herself, being tough, like Yoren has taught her, when she has to fend for herself again. Like,
Yeah.
there's no safety for her but herself.
And I think Sirio's lessons, I like how it seems like she took them and then she's using that modal. Is that how you say it? M-O-D-A-L?
Sure.
Modal?
Yeah, she's using that modal of teaching because later when she watches someone catch a fish, she's like, oh, quick as a snake. That's how he did it. Okay, that's how you catch fish. Quick as a
Yeah.
snake. Now I know how to sneak around, quiet as a shadow. Now I know how to catch fish. Quick as a snake.
Yeah. I mean, the Syrio made such a huge impact on her. I mean, I feel like almost as much or more as Ned.
Yeah, because she's honing Needle, thinking about his lessons that a dull blade was like a lame horse.
And she's still thinking about when the men approach the holdfast to look with your eyes.
Look and see. And
Yeah, she really understands that these men must understand that we are not threats.
Yeah.
So they don't care.
Yeah, she looked at Sir Amory's face the way Syrio taught her to look, and she saw that Gendry was right. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Amory Lorch, bad dude. Remember, in the show, Gregor Clegane is responsible for the death of both of, I always forget her name, Rhaegar's kids.
Yes.
But what's his?
Elia?
Elia, yeah. Elia
Yeah.
Martell. Yeah, but in the books, Amory Lorch was the one who killed Princess Rhaenys, who was like 12 or something. Gregor still killed, as we'll have reiterated later on, the child, the little boy, I forgot his name. And Elia herself.
Aegon.
Oh, yeah, duh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Come
Sorry.
on.
It's been a long weekend.
It's been a long week.
But Amory Lorch is a bad dude. Bad dude.
Yeah. One of the, yeah. Like, he'd be a boss level.
Yeah.
Arya cries out for Winterfell despite herself.
Hot
I love that war
calls
cry.
out for hot pie.
He
Cries
does.
out for hot pie.
They're both crying out for what they want.
How many, like, I didn't realize, like, Arya kills a handful of people here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she hopes that she didn't kill one of theirs.
Oh, yeah, I actually thought that was interesting because it reminded me of Jon from later.
Mm-hmm.
She sees a dead body and is like, oh, I hope that wasn't me.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't think she'd done it, but she wasn't sure.
Mhm.
I wonder if how similar that wording is later on with Jon.
And whether that's something that Arya really thinks about later. It's probably not.
Probably
Nope.
not.
Oh, Rhaenyra was a toddler when she died. That makes more sense.
Oh, okay.
Oof.
Yeah.
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 No, it's Rhaenys.
Rhaenys. Yeah. Whatever.
Whoa.
Doesn't matter. She's dead.
So everything's on fire and they're trying to get out, but she makes time to grab the axe and give it to Jaqen and Biter and Rorge.
It's nice that Jaqen maintains his manners, even while things are burning around him. Good boys, kind boys, sweet boy.
Sweet
Rorge
boy.
is, get these fucking chains off of me.
Catch more flies with honey.
Rorge more flies with honey.
What? And then the chapter ends with a cloud of hot smoke and black dust billowing up behind her, smelling of hell. What do you think that was? Just the roof collapsing from the barn and like.
Yeah, I think it was just the heat getting sucked through the. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Crawling through the ventilation.
Very nasty
shaft.
scene. The end of Yoren. Which
Well, definitively,
I think so.
because he just tells her to get out of there, right?
Yeah.
That's the last we see of him.
And it's
mean,
much clearer on the
it's
show.
lost.
Yeah, in the show, Amory Lorch kills him.
Yeah, I don't remember if like they go back up and they have like a moment as he's dying. I don't think so.
But this whole scene is different in the show because they're not at this holdfast.
No, they're at a holdfast. They're in like a they're inside of a walled thing that they break through.
Are you sure?
Yeah, they're not just like surrounded in the woods.
Oh.
I thought very much that they were in the woods.
No, they're in like a little town, I think.
But
Well,
they definitely don't have that secret tunnel.
No, they
Yeah.
don't have the secret tunnel.
And they're also the gold. It's also the Gold Cloaks, or it's Lannister men who.
No, it's
No, it's
Amory
Amory
Lorch.
Lorch.
It's
Really?
Lannister men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't. What I mean is, in the show, isn't it that they were pursuing them, the same way that the party was earlier, looking for Gendry.
Yeah, those were gold cloaks. But then it's the people who end up coming and killing Lamy and everything. We also don't get an on-screen death for Lamy like we do in the show.
No, we will.
Still?
Yeah. That's in the
Oh,
next
they
chapter.
drag him?
Yeah, they're dragging him.
Oh,
Don't worry.
I thought they just left him. Oh, somebody says just leave him, and then they don't.
Yeah, but they don't.
Okay.
Does the girl make it out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gendry takes her.
Yeah, Arya has Gendry like drag her through the tunnel.
Wow, everyone's really pumped about this secret tunnel.
Secret tunnels are neat.
Yeah. Secret tunnels are pretty cool, guys. All right, let's move on to Tyrion 3.
We're chugging, guys.
Yeah, they're very short chapters in contrast to last week where we had that Theon and that Davos chapter, which were very long. I forgot to write a little summary, but
This is Pycelle,
No.
No.
right?
Nope.
No?
No.
This is. Oh hey, Stannis created.
Oh, the letter.
A little bit of a stir.
This is
Right.
the chain.
Oh,
And the chain.
This is
Yeah.
him commissioning the chain from the city's
chain.
armor.
I know about the chain.
You know about the chain?
Yeah.
Oh, I wish it was
Oh,
a
that's
It's
too
spy.
bad.
cool.
You don't know about, you know about the chain.
I
That's
know.
too bad.
I wish the show had done the chain.
The chain would have been kick ass.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have like 3 Tyrion chapters this week.
Well, 2. Well, that's close to 3.
The word like applies.
I'm dying, guys.
So,
Cersei's pissed.
yeah, Stannis has sent out his letters that we heard before that he was sending, and we have, I looked them up, 2 houses from the Crown Lands, the Rosbys and the Stokeworths, who swear their allegiances to the throne directly. They've given over their letters to be shown to Cersei.
Yeah. Well, Roseby, Lord Giles is, I don't know if he's still around, but he's the cougher, right?
Yeah.
He's always coughing.
We haven't. He comes in later.
Oh, yeah,
He comes
he's
in
in the
Feast.
second Tyrion chapter, I think. Oh, but yeah, he plays a
He
bigger
plays
role
a bigger
in
role
Feast,
later. Yeah, and the
Ah.
Stokeworths obviously have a significant role.
Yeah, with
an
Lawless
unfortunate,
and Tanda.
tragic role later.
Yeah, Tanda's in this chapter, and she's chasing down
Tyrion.
and you
Yeah.
don't really know why he ignores her until his next chapter, where he explains she's trying to get me to marry her blackwit daughter,
Yeah.
Lawless.
I think that's always the case. I think last book, Littlefinger was being shopped for that position.
Yeah.
Yes, he was. Yeah, Tanda really wants to offload that daughter.
I like when they're reading the letter and Tyrion points out the
Lord of Light?
the Lord of Light thing,
Yep.
which is exactly what Davos was worried would happen.
Tyrion would make a great campaign manager.
Yep.
Be like, hey, this will not play well with the Midwest. You gotta harp on that.
Tragically too late.
Oh. If Tyrion is a campaign manager, though, you need your fixer, and that would be Baelish, because he comes up with the perfect response to the letter, which is this horrible...
Sorry.
Did you cover the mic when you did that?
I did this.
He did the
The
vampire.
mic's over here.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Which is this horrible rumor. And this is not in the show, so it was new to me. The character of Patchface is new, but what they do with what they must do with him is just gonna be terrible. I mean,
what they must do with him.
because if this gets out, what will Stannis do?
Oh, you're worried about Stannis' response?
Yeah, and I love and hated that the
That's-
more bizarre and shocking the tale, it's apt to be repeated. So I'm sure it's gonna get repeated.
Yeah, but then you're assuming that Stannis is going to hear it and believe it.
No, I'm going to assume that enough people believe it that he'll have to respond in kind.
Oh.
I don't think that's how Stannis rolls.
Yeah.
If Stannis knows someone is innocent, I
Yeah,
don't
he's
think
like,
he'll
no.
do him in just
Yeah.
for
For
image sake.
appearances, that's his flaw.
Well,
Yeah.
now you're giving me information such that whatever happens has to be worse than what I'm imagining, so that's fun.
Okay.
I don't think anything.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
I feel like you mentioned the word Patchface, and it's been with...
Because Patchface is creepy as
scary.
shit.
Oh, I thought it's been in a tragic context.
No.
I mean, he's a tragic
He's a
character.
tragic character.
Oh, I've assumed this whole time reading that Patchface is going to eat it, something real bad.
Well, he did. He was under the sea for days.
That's true.
A
Ate
trade
alone.
envoy from Lys once observed to me that Lord Stannis must love his daughter very well, since he'd erected hundreds of statues of her along the halls of Dragonstone. My lord, I had to tell him, those are gargoyles. Sir Axel might serve for Shireen's father, but in my experience, the more bizarre and shocking a tale, the more apt it is to be repeated. Stannis keeps an especially grotesque fool, a Blackwood with a tattooed face.
I like how Littlefinger's thing is like the more bizarre and shocking a tale, and his whole thing that he keeps repeating is that he took Catelyn's virginity.
Catelyn and Lysa's
Well,
virginity.
sure, but like the shocking part is Catelyn.
Sure.
Yeah, and I guess both of them. Yeah, that's what makes it shocking, I suppose. But like, he's just like, yeah, repeat it. People are gonna believe it.
But he believes that he did.
He does. You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
he's
You're
not
right.
lying to himself. You'll see.
Yeah, we read that chapter.
There's
No,
more
there's
information.
more information.
Oh, okay. Oh.
That whole thing is a mystery in itself.
Well,
We'll get there in a year.
in terms of things that I do know, it definitely shows his talent at public relations and narratives that people will believe if it's stated enough, just like, or if things are orchestrated as such to play into a narrative, like the death of Jon Arryn, fingers will be pointed at Jaime and Cersei, most likely, when the true explanation is not the one that you would think of, given narratives out there.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And Tyrion recognizes Littlefinger's talents. This one is more dangerous than I knew. Also, Cersei smiled the sort of smile she customarily reserved for Jaime. Littlefinger, Get it in.
Anytime,
Oh.
anywhere.
No, not that. Also, well, let's see. I was gonna move on to the chain, but is there anything else?
Yeah,
in
we
that?
can move on to the chain. He's getting a chain built. I like how the one guy, Solorian, is like, dude, this is just chains, man. I'm an artist. You have to let me make art.
Is this where we get Bron's like new clothes, or is that the next chapter?
I think that's the next one.
Okay.
So right now we're creating a mystery for this book. If we don't know what Tyrion's ultimate,
what's he
yeah,
up to?
his ultimate goal. So if we don't know what his strategy is, it's interesting to see that he is redirecting eventually will be redirecting the work of the pyromancers, that he's making a chain instead of armor and swords. And it says to me that he has made a distinct choice, that Renly is coming, Stannis is coming, Robb Stark could be coming, but that he's making a specific choice as to who he's going to defend from and how.
Yeah,
Blackwater Bay.
Yeah, I think it's really telling that the person that Tyrion is worried about is Stannis.
The one that Tywin is also most worried about.
Sure, but I think that, I like the kind of misdirect that George is doing for readers, where it's like, Renly's got this massive army of 100,000 people, and Robb can't lose, but, like, it's shitty, like, stuck on an island with no help Stannis that everyone's like, oh, fuck.
But Tyrion calls it out, too, in his second
Yeah.
chapter, is when he's like,
Renly
doesn't know how
Renly's
to
not going to...
run
Sure,
the army. Yeah.
but the way that George is kind of setting it up, if you're not paying that close of attention, you think Stannis isn't a threat. He's a jerk, and nobody likes him, and he doesn't have an army, and he can barely scrap anything together. But he's cluing you in with the characters who are worried about Stannis, and I think that that's really good plotting and really good character building and world building on George's part, to kind of make you question the likelihood of a successful rebuke of Stannis by Tyrion. You root for you hate Joffrey, you hate Cersei, you root for Tyrion because he's Tyrion, but he's so worried about Stannis. What's he gonna do? The way that they set up the chain and the battle, I can't wait for Blackwater. It's gonna be so fun.
He also is doing a lot to feed the people, because he knows that it's a hungry city.
Yeah,
so
he's doing justice.
Well, he's doing administrative work.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, sure, you can say social justice.
I would say it's just to try and feed the people, not just care about his own class of people, not just the Lannisters.
Justice, I feel,
We're wading into some weeds a little bit.
I didn't bring up the word social justice. I think that he's trying to do the work of a hand.
I
think
agree
that's
with
cool.
you. He's ruling the realm the way that it should be ruled. He's trying to keep people fed and prevent riots. He's keeping the city's peace. He's doing. But I think that justice in the world of Ice and Fire sense of the term, I don't know if that applies.
Yeah, that seems like doling out fair punishment.
Yeah.
Is more of the justice in this world. But it doesn't really look like it matters to the people, because yet he still saw accusing eyes everywhere he rode. The people don't know or don't care that he's doing all this stuff. They're probably more concerned about the stuff that Cersei does, how she threatens people to smash their own hands on their own anvils if they don't do what she says. Sweet Cersei, always striving to make the small folk love us. So Tyrion's already recognizing that the issues with the tensions that the small folk have with them, and even though he's trying his best to do stuff, it's going unnoticed and unappreciated.
And Solorian gives him a hint that he's seen as a demon.
Yes. Yeah, with a demon's head.
That sucks.
Then we have Chataya.
Yeah, a little trip to the brothel that is not really a trip to the brothel.
No.
Another secret tunnel, chat.
Yeah,
Secret
secret
tunnel.
tunnel. Secret tunnel. Get it in.
I like the description of the Summer Isle's attitudes towards sex.
Yeah.
I thought
There's no
that was
shame.
really interesting, that there's no shame, that it's something that's celebrated. Just kind of that progressive attitude about it is something that's so different from pretty much everywhere else in the world, where it's something, that's viewed as a positive, not a, not there's nothing in the way that she describes it that's like dangerous or oppressive. It's just like, yeah, this is what we do and we enjoy it.
I like their justification too.
Yeah.
The gods gave us desire.
Yeah.
So surely it must be something that we should be using.
So
Even the notion, I like that notion as well. It still shocked me a bit to hear that even highborn youths and maidens would serve for a few years after their flowerings to honor the gods.
Hey, so Varys tells Tyrion perhaps someone whispered it in his ear, talking about Stannis knowing about the bastards.
Mhm.
Who did that?
Varys,
Varys?
right?
You think so?
Varys is trying to destabilize Robert's rule to make way for a Targaryen
I don't think
return.
that.
Who do you think it was? Littlefinger? It was one or the other.
Was it? It could be Fat Belwas.
Strong Belwas.
Pat Belwas?
No, he's strong. I mean, he's
Oh.
fat too, but he's strong Belwas.
Oh, brr.
I don't know. I guess Varys makes the most sense to me, even though he outright denies it. But if it had been you, would you admit it? No.
Yeah, exactly. Like his way of saying perhaps someone did is his way of saying it was me.
Yeah, and I really don't get his reasoning. Like, he loses me in this metaphor when he's like, but why should I betray a secret I've kept so long? It is one thing to deceive a king, and quite another to hide from the cricket in the rushes and the little bird in the chimney. What? Like, what about rushes?
Oh, I think he's saying that those are everywhere. Like it's an easy thing to keep a secret from someone who's not looking
Yes.
for it,
Okay.
but hard to keep a secret from everything. So he's kept this secret
I get it.
the
Hide.
whole time.
So it's useless to try to hide from crickets in a cricket house.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, and the bastards were there for everyone to see.
Right.
Yeah. Also, the tunnel was dug for another king's hand, whose honor would not allow him to enter such a house openly.
Who do you think that
it
is?
I don't know.
I never noticed this before.
Oh, you didn't? It is
No.
widely theorized that hand of the king was
Tywin Lannister. Yeah, for sure.
His honor would not permit him to use that, and we
Oh.
see later he's not opposed to having whores in his bed.
Yeah.
Also because if we think about the other hands post him, they wouldn't have been around
Wouldn't have
long
been
enough for
Jon
a whole
Arryn.
tunnel to be dug.
Why wouldn't it have been Jon Arryn?
Because he's an old man and he's not that interested in sex, from what we know, kind of.
He's also an
relationship with
honorable
Liza.
guy.
He's an honorable guy, but I just don't think that that's something that would. From our picture of Jon Arryn, I don't think that's something that can. He's like an old guy. I don't think that that's something that concerns him, where he would have a tunnel built.
All right.
Whereas Tywin was a young man when he was first hand.
Well, who was between Tywin and Jon Arryn? Because there
Lots
were
of people.
Bunch. And they were short-lived.
Yeah, it's a handful.
Not long enough for
so
a
not
tunnel,
long enough for a
for
tunnel.
sure. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But like Tywin was hand for when he was first hand was hand for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
When he was a relatively young man.
He
I
does.
think that's
He does
interesting.
think not possibly just for Tyrion, but for himself. Like, okay, you don't bring a whore to court. You go off to a secret tunnel. You do your thing, then you go back to court.
Right. I never noticed that line before. I think that's awesome. I think it's definitely Tywin. We good to move on to Bran?
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I like. Before we move on, this little exchange where it's like, sometimes I think you're my best friend, and sometimes I think you're my worst enemy. How odd! I quite think the same of you.
It's the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Yeah, they're fun. They're fun.
Bran 2. What, we got 3 chapters left?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, we do. We're killing it.
We're killing it, guys.
Killing it. So, in Bran 2, Bran is acting the Lord of Winterfell, and this is exactly the type of Bran chapter that I love to read. Him just kind of ruling over Winterfell, getting some northern politic information, less Walders, more Manderlys. This is the introduction of Wyman Manderly at proper. We came real close. Catelyn visited with him, and I think spoke of it in the past tense.
In the past tense.
But she was riding with his sons, one of whom is captured, as he relays.
Wireless?
I think it's Wendell that's captured.
Wendell? They
He's
all have
older.
W names.
Yeah. His older brother Wendell, or his older son Wendell, is currently being held hostage by Lord Tywin Lannister. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Sir Wylis. You were right. His older son, Sir Wylis, is currently being held captured by Lord Tywin. His younger son, Lord Wendell, is
Sir Wendell.
Sir Wendell, yes. He's trying to get the Starks to agree to marry him off to Lady Hornwood.
The Manderlys are one of the few northern houses that have knights because they keep to the faith of the Seven.
Yes. So yeah, there's so much going on in this chapter.
Yeah, I really dug this. All the northern stuff is great. You kind of get the beginnings of the seeds of what will ultimately become Great Northern Conspiracy.
With
because
the Umbers and
and the Manderlys, the relationship between Moors and Horsebane Umber.
What? Talk about that.
Their antagonism, the fact that they're both competing, the fact that it seems like Moors, who's the Crowfoot Umber, is the younger and is trying to kind of... He wants to marry Lady Hornwood to get some lands of his own.
Okay.
The older Umber, Horsebane, would inherit Last Hearth after the Great John's family. He's the older uncle, I think.
Okay.
So he's kind of next in the line of succession for their land. So there's some antagonism there between the two of them. King Robb has no more loyal servant than Wyman Manderly. Very important to note. And there's a lot of talk of Wyman building ships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And after the Umbers, or Horsebane asks for ships, Roderick tells him, "You have forests of tall pine and old oak. Lord Manderly has shipwrights and sailors in plenty. Together, you ought to be able to float enough longships to guard both your coasts."
I like how we saw in that moment Sir Roderick governing in his role, because earlier we saw him saying, okay, we're not going to make any commitments to you, Sir Wyman, with this request for ships, and then later he took the time and went and secured the wood for it, and now he could present both of them as an option to Robb.
Yeah, I really like all this talk. I mean, like, some people might be bored by it. I get that. Like, there's talk of, like, how much you should be storing of your harvest.
Yeah.
It's like,
I like thinking about stuff like that.
yeah, the Glovers are only storing a tenth.
Like,
the hedge wizard.
I like,
had some choice words about
Lou had some choice words.
You'll store a fifth.
Yeah. I'll store it. You'll store a fifth.
But I like that we're kind of seeing how the North is run and how much it relies on the Stark in Winterfell.
Yeah.
Like, these are big houses. Like, these are the Manderlys, the Glovers, the Flints, like the houses that he interacts with, the Tallhearts. These are the equivalents of, like, the Redwaynes and the Tarleys and, like, you know, like the big houses that are vassals of some of these other great houses, but they're all coming to Winterfell to have these things ruled on. They require a strong central government.
Yeah.
But I think Maester Luwin even says that Bran is the Stark in Winterfell.
Roderick says it. You are your brother's heir and the Stark in Winterfell.
And the importance of that for the way that the North operates, you really get a sense of that in this chapter in a way that you kind of haven't in the same way before. It's been so focused militarily before, with Robb mostly, but to get just the regular kind of day-to-day, like, we need to store food and build ships and, you know, settle this land dispute and everything and all of that, they have so much respect for the Stark in Winterfell. And I think that that's what's so interesting about this and sets up the conflict to come when maybe there's not a Stark in Winterfell.
Yeah, I like how it shows how integral the Starks are to keeping the peace and making everything in the North function together. Mm-hmm. I also like how the chapter, because we're also getting some of Bran's dreams and still feeling conflicted about his role. He has all the responsibility of a Lord of Winterfell.
Oh, you mean dreams as in desires, not as in, like, wolf dreams?
Well, I mean, we end the chapter with a dream.
Yeah.
Sure, but you mean how he dreams of being a knight?
No, I do mean, like...
Oh, his actual
dreams, yeah.
Oh.
We're getting, I think, conflicts between the different lives he could lead, and on the one hand, he has the responsibility of being a lord, but also he still wants to be a knight, and he's a little bit just kind of a kid who wants to be a knight. Like, he's drawn a little bit selfishly to go and just watch the people with the men with swords in the yard, just sing with their steel, and at the same time he knows he has to go and actually deal with manners. But it's sort of like he gets all of the work with none of the fun because he also has no ability. He just has to sit and govern.
Mm-hmm.
He can't walk and go and do anything else.
Yeah, and to that point, Jackson Eflin says the sort of boringness of it might be intentional to put us in Bran's head. He doesn't want to be listening to grain storage convo. He wants to be a knight, even though this stuff is more important. So
Yeah.
I think that's exactly right.
I love the way that the kind of the prose and the plot mirrors that internal struggle with the character. I think that's great.
We do have our first deeper description of Ramsay Bolton.
Oh,
He's
man.
Oh yeah, Bolton Bulletin, guys. I took big notice of this because we get the first mention of Ramsay.
Not by name. Still not by name.
He's described as his sly and accompanied by a cruel servant named Reek.
Yes.
And he's associated with unbelievable rumors, and he is massing men for what it is not said.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Indeed.
pay attention.
And so Reek is the bastard Ramsay's servant, and they hunt together, but not for deer. And like right now, if you're reading this for the first time, you might not guess that it's people. The most dangerous game.
Well, I think it's important to note too that Lady Hornwood says the bastard looks to my lands hungrily, and Sir Roderick tries to comfort her, say that you'll be fine. I really we should wait and talk about it when it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because this part I don't know.
Yeah, because Roderick is saying he may look, but should he do more than that, I promise you there will be dire retributions. And he's assuring her that she'll be safe, and kind of like, she's into him, which is a nice little detail. And so I feel like he likes her enough, and he's like, it's okay.
He's gonna have, I think, he's gonna have some serious guilt. Roderick, I think that's something that haunts him.
Not for long.
Well, sure, but no. But I think part of his actions toward the end is guilt for Lady
Hornwood.
Hornwood.
Yeah.
Especially as a knight. You know.
Yeah, but he's just thinking pragmatically when Bran offers up the idea, like, well, what if you married her? And he's like, well, no, I'm old. There needs to be an heir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of interesting offers for marriage to her and how a claim could be constructed, because there are sort of half-hornwoods who are offered up, and there are different kinds of marriages that would advantage different houses.
There's a bastard.
Yeah. They're trying to figure out which would, as I think Lewin puts it, what's the most practical thing we can do
Which
here?
wood would be best?
Which wood? Hornwood is a word. I don't know.
Which wood would be worthy? It's better.
The worthiest wood.
The worthiest wood.
Might be a river lord wood.
Might be yeah.
Howland Reed has not been heard from.
Nope.
He hasn't set foot outside of swamps for many a year.
So we must meet the Reeds next BRAN chapter?
Yes.
Probably?
So.
Yeah, okay. I like the
Exciting.
Reeds in the books.
And then, Bran has a friend, Clay Kerwin.
Yeah.
This is nice to read.
I always remember that. It's like, oh yeah, the Clay Kerwin seems like a good dude.
Yeah, he seems like probably a young guy, because he'd always been a friend of Bran and his brother. So he's probably of an age with
I
Robb.
bet he's probably 15.
Yeah. And
Maybe a little bit younger since he didn't leave. With Robb. So maybe he's 13 or 14.
Yeah. But
he's 14.
But he brings the news of...
Yep, it says lad of 14.
Cool. He brings the news of Stannis' letter, which speaks of the incest between Jaime and Cersei, and that makes Bran have a panic attack.
Yeah,
And
it triggers him. That's weird.
Yeah, it triggers his memory of seeing Jaime and Cersei. And does he realize what's going on?
No, I don't think he ever does.
That's so
Wait,
annoying.
really? I mean, right here we get his panic attack. A giant hand was crushing his chest. And then at the end of it, we get a golden man appeared in the sky above him. Is it not, to him, clear who that is, do you think?
I guess not. I don't know.
Oh.
It seems dumb.
I feel like he puts it together. I mean, I would read on and feel like
I don't
if
think
it's confirmed or not. But
I don't think he ever does realized that Jaime Lannister pushed him out of a window. I don't think it ever gets that far. Maybe still to come. I could be wrong in that. Where's Javier? I don't remember if we get much more of Clay Kerwin. I like that. Yeah, he's like, good morrow, Bran. Like, too many people treat Bran like shit.
Yeah.
And he's just like, hey, buddy.
Okay.
Did you hear about this letter?
Anything else? I do like Osha's description of Little Walder. Comes to me, he's well named, big outside, little inside, and mean down to the bones.
Oh, and I like how she points out that Hodor could tear a man's head off if he wanted to.
If he wanted to.
Yeah.
But he's so peaceful that
I know, Hodor.
he got like cornered by bullies and just Hodored.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, at the beginning of this chapter is something that people posted online after this season of the show ended. One time, Hodor smelled bread baking and ran to the kitchens, and Bran got such a crack that Maester Luwin had to sew up his scalp.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, yeah, take that, Bran.
Oh, poor guy.
Moving on to Tyrion 4, in which Tyrion triple crosses people.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
This is classic. And it's done so well in the show with the editing.
This is done great in the show, and it plays out very similarly.
I love that everyone hates Pycelle's cooking, or at least the food prepared for Pycelle. Like, Ned was gagging on how sweet his honey wine was, and here everything just, like, needs salt and is overcooked and watery. Like, imagine having dinner with Pycelle.
I always thought that was more a comment on Ned and not liking the sweetness of what they put in food at court, but it's also Pycelle. I
Yeah, it
think
sounds
now.
like it's Pycelle and his horrible palate.
I really love the line where Tyrion describes what they're being served, and then he says, "While Pycelle served the pontifications." I think that's so great. That's such a nice little turn of phrase, and such a Tyrion turn of phrase too.
Pycelle keeps his table spare in the time of hunger.
Yeah, that's just the sort of that's what they have their conversation about what sort of men they are, and that he, just feeling the austerity of the time, should not be partaking in. Tyrion says, well, I'm going to eat food if there's food.
Yeah, and it seemed to Tyrion that the gold and silver and platinum links into Pycelle's chain far outnumbered those of baser metals.
He has the Tears of Lys in his stores.
He does. And what is the bottle that Tyrion takes? Standing on his toes and straining upward, he managed to pull a small dusty bottle off the high shelf. When he read the label, he smiled and slipped it up his sleeve, and that's it.
That was my question.
Yeah, I forget what it is.
It's not the Strangler, right?
I don't think so. Oh, you know what it is? It's something that it's like a sedative. He puts Cersei to sleep later. He slips it in her drink and drugs her.
Interesting.
So that's what he did. Either that or gives her like real serious diarrhea and he incapacitates her in some.
It's like Visine.
Just brothers playing pranks on sisters.
It's just a prank.
It's just a social experiment.
Yeah, everyone in the chat freaking out about how Theon isn't the first Reek.
Oh no!
Yeah, in the books, Reek is
it's an office,
and it's very confusing. At the end of this book, there's like a moment of revelation that is very confusing, and I reread it so many times the first time I went through this book and still didn't get it. I had to like go online.
Oh, that Reek holds Reek's office, and then they do a switcheroo, and Ramsay becomes Reek for a little bit.
Well, remember when Spiro Agnew resigned from the office of vice president?
I was there then. Yes, I do remember that.
Hey,
oh boy,
sorry.
That's getting cut.
I'm sorry.
So this is one of those moments that makes me think way lesser of Book Tyrion. It's when a lordling down from the Trident says your father's men burned his keep, raped his wife, and killed all his peasants. I believe they call that war. Like, that.
Well, to Tyrion's defense, what's he going to do about that?
Have more sympathy.
But he would be.
What would sympathy be worth?
Tywin. Like, he can't. Like,
in action, no, but like to like just be like, well, that's war, tough titties.
I think he's got bigger fish to fry. He's focusing on the city.
And also, what is his sympathy worth? I think he
Yeah.
understands that if there can be no action to help these people, then what can you give them?
His sympathy is worth me judging him as a human being. It's me judging him and his capability to empathize with another person.
I think
as opposed to like hearing about this small folk getting his wife raped and being like, well, that's war, dude. Like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? It's war.
I think he realizes that he can't do anything about it, and there's no one he could send out. He has his feelings, but I think he's
the callousness which he responds is what I'm not saying he should raise an army and go defend this guy's honor.
Right.
But to just be like, well, that's what they call war, makes me judge him.
Sure.
For his
I
lack
think
of
it's also how you interpret the line, because you could have an intonation of dry irony that's how it goes.
He does.
It's so normalized that, like, yes, that is how it goes. It's sad and despicable. That's war.
He does then say, what does he want of Joffrey?
Sure.
And then he does say, I'll make time for him tomorrow. Like, I don't think it's totally without sympathy. He could completely dismiss this guy outright and be done.
I guess, but he ends up just sending him a new pair of boots, and I just don't feel like that's a fair trade.
I think that's what I think that's to bide his time until tomorrow. He's going to meet with this guy tomorrow.
And Gunnar makes a good point. He would also probably be more sympathetic if he was talking to the Lordling himself. Yeah, that's true.
Sure.
Or if this guy was like of more importance, I think. I think Tyrion, his sympathy gets shallower and shallower the further down the person is in the socioeconomic ladder.
Yeah, he's very separate. He's very...
Like, he appreciates cripples, bastards, and broken things, but like poor people, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
I think it's hard for him to... I think there's a piece of Tyrion that has empathy, but I think that empathy has been shaped by his position and the amount of pain that's in the world. He can't rescue everyone. There's far too many people he can rescue, but when he is faced with someone who he can help, I think he will try and help them. I think he's trying to feed the city, and that's what he can do.
No, that's true. He's definitely doing big picture things.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe it was just a moment, maybe it was just a callous-sounding response in a moment of stress with like, well, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I'll try to give him the benefit of the doubt, but it's just something that's always stuck out to me as maybe be like, you're not Peter Dinklage.
Also, we get another moment where he's going to delay, where he realizes, or he hears that Alistair Thorne is at King's Landing.
See, yeah.
Doesn't want to meet with him right now.
See, it's unfortunate that...
He's letting personal grievances get in the way of
the
wall. Like, he respects Mormont. He should know that.
Yeah, there's a reason Alistair Thorne is not at the wall.
Regardless of which Black Brother is here, they were sent by Mormont, so he should be more...
Right, but what's so bad about saying, find him a nice cell, I'll talk to him later?
Oh, I think find him a nice cell means treat this guy like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
well,
like, fuck this guy.
He does say where no one has changed the rushes in a year.
Yeah.
But he can still treat him like shit and respect Gior by meeting with him the next day.
And I understand that he's not aware that this hand is moving and won't be by time he actually finally sees him. But that's obviously has big implications.
Tyrion is very vindictive, Travis. I think that's a big part of his character.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like it.
I mean, it's one of those things where, like, the show Tyrion is kind of smoothed over. Book Tyrion has this very obvious flaw. Cersei's got a little retinue with her. Boris Blunt, wearing white scales in his favorite scowl. Balon Swan. I feel like
Clarence
there's someone
here,
who loves Balon Swan. Clarence. Coffee-ass Giles Rosby. And then some other people, including Halland the Pyromancer. Oh, and Sir Lancel, her newest favorite. I didn't realize that we were still behind on that whole tryst going on.
Yeah.
That Tyrion wasn't aware of it yet.
We just have the implications at this point that he was responsible for Robert's murder. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so overall, the arc of this chapter, we have him telling Pycelle that they're going to send Myrcella to Dorne. Then he meets with Littlefinger. And what is the promise? What is the promise to Littlefinger?
Littlefinger was Lysa.
That's right. that Myrcella is going to go to Lysa. And do you want to just talk about Littlefinger for a moment?
Yeah, because we get more of his backstory.
There's a lot here.
We get the rise of Littlefinger.
I love
The rise of
backstory.
Littlefinger. And I appreciated that they took so much detail to spell it out, because when you just see him wheeling and dealing and talking, you're like, oh, Littlefinger's clever. But when you see how he's built a small empire for himself, you're like, oh, he is scary.
Nothing. Like, this is why I love Littlefinger so much. This is one of the big reasons. Is because he came from nothing. Like, yeah, is his grandfather the one who was
an immigrant from Bravos and was raised to a small... I don't even know if you can call it he was like a hedge knight.
Oh no, they say it right.
Landed knight.
Yeah, doesn't it say like the minorest of minor lords or something like that? And then he just rises himself up, and by being clever, by rubbing two golden dragons together to breed a third. And yeah, this is, I mean, I was telling you earlier, but this is what he does with gold. He always has it invested.
Yeah.
Even while taking on debts, he has his money in places, not just like stored up in a treasure vault. So he's buying wagons. He bought grain when it was plentiful and sold bread when it was scarce.
I do think it's interesting that you have this like fantasy story where there's this like horrible supernatural force of evil.
No, I'm sorry. The minorest of minor lords thing was Clegane's. I'm sorry. I just remembered.
Really?
That's the Hound telling Sansa about his family's history.
Are you sure?
I'm positive, yeah.
But what was I just saying? Oh yeah, so you have this fantasy epic where there's a supernatural threat, and there's dragons, and there's, you know, shadow babies and all these crazy things. And one of the most powerful players in the game is an economic genius. Like, that's his whole thing, is like business. Like, he's just like, oh yeah, if I diversify my investments, like, it's just like...
And also image, because, you know,
sure.
Littlefinger was no threat to anyone. He's a clever, smiling, genial man, everyone's friend.
Yeah.
He was not a man to fear.
Yeah, it definitely plays to people's expectations of what power looks like and what a threat looks like, and it's military. It's
power
not
is power.
Yes, but also where relationships
we're still in Tyrion. Okay.
Relationships and we're not in Littlefinger anything except his world. It looks, his kind of power looks different, and I think is much more powerful than people estimate.
What do you guys think about on 273 when Littlefinger says, Lady Catelyn is not so great a fool as to barter the Kingslayer for a slip of a girl? But she totally would.
I think that
he doesn't want... Yeah.
He has a better image of Catelyn than... Like, and he doesn't want to get rid of Sansa.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought it was more strategic than a true reading.
He's saying you can't offer Sansa to Catelyn for Jaime. She'll never go for it, even though she totally would.
1,000,000%.
But he's like, but I want Sansa.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's thinking about that, but I think
he is. I
really?
think he is, because the next chapter page, like, first line of the next chapter, which is a Sansa chapter, is the note that says, "Come to the Gods which night," right after Tyrion makes this deal with Littlefinger.
Right, but in this book, you think the implication is that it's already Baelish pulling the strings of Dantos?
Dantos didn't come up with this plan by himself.
Yeah.
Who do you think?
Oh, I thought that it was his plan.
Oh,
sweet summer child.
Oh. Well, I know.
Like, I'm gonna rescue this princess.
She was so nice to me.
That's what I believed.
So nice.
Well, I know what happens in the show, and I know how that happens, but I thought, oh, how interesting, that happens in season 4 of the show. Well, in the second book, that Dantos would have his own sweet thing, and then like later Littlefinger sees it and manipulates it, but like he's really starting this early.
Yeah.
Oh,
man. And it takes so long to play out. Like, I forgot that we got Dantos here, and it doesn't come to fruition until Storm.
Yeah. Good old Littlefinger.
Yeah.
Man, and that just, knowing that now casts a real dark shadow over that chapter with Dantos, because, well, we're going to talk about it, but I don't like that it's him removing her of that like hope and agency. They're like, oh, I can trust in the stories again.
Yep.
No, you can't.
That's the whole point. I'm sorry.
I know, but
knew.
he should give. If he's given the advice, he should be the one actively like stoking the fires as well.
But no, he can't mess. He can't mess with his image. He's got to protect his image of a clever, genial man that everybody loves.
Of course, I just don't like it. Well, I want to talk about their quick little exchange before we get that exposition on his past too, because it's some awesome Tyrion Littlefinger. Yeah.
About the knife?
Well, about the knife, also about Littlefinger's sly reference to the dismissal of Sir Janis Slynt to the wall.
Mm-hmm. They also talk about Jon Arryn's true killer.
Yeah.
And the better armed clansman.
Tyrion thinks that he knows, and he knows, he knows, and he knows that I know, and he thinks that I cannot touch him, and he realizes, oh, I kind of can't.
Yeah.
Yep.
He has people everywhere. And, yeah, Jackson. Like 2 books of Dantos drinking and trying to make out with Sansa.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
So then we get the revelation, that, just real casual like, that, oh yeah, I took their maidenheads. I guess I know them.
Yeah, I fucked them both. Is that close enough?
I like how Tyrion was fairly certain it was a lie.
Fairly certain. Fairly certain. Not
fairly
certain.
Fairly certain.
You know why it's only fairly certain? Because Littlefinger doesn't think he's lying.
Oh, yeah, no, he's delivering that with 100% confidence.
Yeah.
That's why you have to do it.
Yeah.
Also, Lysa is more tractable than Catelyn.
Yes, he knows damn well.
Double meaning there, but also it speaks to something that we know.
Yeah. Also, the way he gets excited about thinking about the Tullys swearing fealty to him. Like that real... I love... I mean, Tyrion spells it out, and what it's like a kid eating yeah, he was trying to watch for bees, but the honey was so sweet. He's like a little boy who had just taken a furtive bite from a honeycomb. Like, he knows that Littlefinger is suspicious, but that the thought of ruling over the River Lords and the Tullys, who were so... Like, yeah, they fostered him, and they raised him, and they taught him a lot. But, like, Tyrion thinks of it perfectly, only to be brusquely expelled when he dared raise his sights to Lord Hoster's daughter. Mm-hmm. And Tyrion knows exactly how Baelish feels about that incident, and that's exactly how he feels. Is like, oh, I was good enough to be fostered there, but not good enough for your daughters. Well, how would you like it if I ruled from Harrenhal, and you just had to swear fealty to me?
Littlefinger is an amazing character.
He's the best character.
Like, his motivations are so clear, but his plans are so intricate, and it's amazing.
I know.
It's really, like, knowing the Dantos thing now, he's planning so far. Like, you think about Tyrion planning far. Like, he has his short game, he has his long game.
Sure.
But Littlefinger is just planning so far off.
Littlefinger, like, woke up after his duel with Brandon at River Run and was like, okay, time to get to work.
We should all think that way.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
right? If only it could be like, in 30 years.
You realize
5-year plan, please.
You realize I may need to bed Lysa Arryn again to get her consent to the marriage.
So that's 2.
That was 2. And then he immediately starts talking to Varys.
Who he's buddy-buddy with, but he still needs to test the mettle of that friendship.
Absolutely.
I love how everyone agrees that, like, Tommen would be great if we can just get Tommen away from people.
Yeah.
Like, Tommen's a sweet boy.
If I pry him away from Cersei and Joffrey while he's still young, he may even grow to be a good man.
And a good king? Joffrey is king.
Yeah, acknowledging that Gregor Clegane had killed Elia and her babe, and...
Oh, Tyrion echoes tractable. That's a neat little detail.
Oh, yeah!
No, that's actually Varys talking.
Oh, it is Varys?
I was going to make the same point, but then...
That's even better.
Yeah.
Varys knows what's up.
Oh, do you think Varys had ears in on that conversation?
Totally.
Because look at the way it's written, too.
Yeah.
Tommen, whose nature is so sweet, notably, ... tractable.
Yeah. He's
Oh,
emphasizing it.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
That's an
He knows
interesting
what's up.
plant.
KDM ships Varys and Tyrion. I'm fine with that.
Sure, yeah. We'll watch him.
Yeah.
Blood for his pride, a chair for his ambition. For Doran.
But they don't get Doran, do they?
They don't get Doran. You have to wait for that. All right. I mean, we all know that Pycelle's going to be the one to spill the beans.
And everyone is upset at Tyrion because of it.
Finally, Sansa.
Sansa.
2.
This does not appear in the show, and it's very cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love
the Dantos thing?
the letter. It's a very cool moment, especially
the Dantos thing doesn't come until
Way later,
in the
yeah.
show. Yeah.
Mhm.
and especially I appreciate it as just a narrative device because it throws a curveball into the position that Sansa is in. She has figured out what she needs to do, how to navigate that. She even admits that once in a while when something unexpected may happen that she may just blurt out something she'll have to deal with. Maybe she gets hit by Meryn Trant or
or Boris Blunt.
Boris Blunt.
Or Preston Greenfield.
But then with this, she has to, like, the stakes are incredibly high because does she treat this as a test that she'll have to say no to? Or does she say, whatever the cost may be, I will try and get out of here?
Yeah, I really like that.
I love just the repetition of that sentence, come to the Godswood tonight if you want to go home, because
The repetition is great.
yeah, it represents that hope for her.
Mm-hmm. And like, yeah, if you're in her position, you get this note, that's all you're going to be thinking about. And like, you're going to reread it 1,000 times over to make sure that like, yeah, those words are actually there on the paper. And it's just going to run through your brain like a cycle.
But I love that she goes over, like you were saying, Joel, every possibility. Like, is it a test? What do I have to do? Like, and the repetition just reinforces that. Like, circling back and like, I almost wish it was a little bit more panicked. Like, if we had kind of like shorter, like these on 280, like the little paragraphs in between the repetitions, I almost wish that they were a little bit choppier. And if we kind of got more into her head a little bit, but I think that overall, it really helps you get into Sansa and where she's at right now.
Yeah. She has a list of people who she's thinking might have written her that note. A true knight sent to save her. Perhaps it was one of the Redwood twins? All right. Or bold Sir Balin Swan. Or even Beric Dondarrion. Man, Beric gets name dropped so often.
Yeah. Oh, Sansa, he's nowhere nearby.
She sees, she wants to go down there, but she sees that Sir Preston Greenfield is down there guarding the bridge. I went back and looked at how Sansa thought of Preston Greenfield, because in her first chapter in this book, she kind of runs through all the Kingsguard, and Preston Greenfield talked to her like a lackwit.
Yeah.
So it sounds like he is fully willing to hit her, but mostly she defines him by the way he treats her. And also, Boris Blunt, by all accounts, has a short temper. Like,
Yeah.
Everyone agrees.
yeah, everyone agrees.
Blunt?
Ah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Jane Poole mentioned. Sorry, Joel, go ahead.
I was going to say that we get the system of servants that Cersei has set up for Sansa, and that they're rotated regularly so no one can feel sorry for her.
Yep,
That's
smart
amazing.
thinking on
That's
Cersei's
such
part.
an amazing detail.
Mhm.
I like how she she struggles with her own thoughts before she puts on her cloak to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were mentioning Jane Poole.
Yeah, Jane Poole mentioned how she misses Jane Poole. She has some, I think she has some regret about how she treated both Septim Dana and Jane Poole. But
I think she is looking back on these people with some rose-colored glasses, or definitely her
yeah.
hopes
Oh, totally.
are influencing her, because she says that Jane was her truest friend, and I remember times when she just couldn't tolerate Jane.
Yeah. But at the same time,
I mean, that's how
she was her truest friend.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think that's just how, I was gonna say teenage girls, but also like me and my friends were dicks to each other all the time. Like,
Yeah.
that's just teenagers.
sure.
Oh,
You know?
but I feel bad for Jane. I mean, not because of what
Oh.
happened, but I felt bad for Jane when
Just-
Sansa would think of
just
the way that
wait.
she did. I know.
to feel bad for
knows.
Jaime.
I'm just talking like social level.
Sure.
And Sansa now believes that Arya is safe back in Winterfell.
Yeah, playing with Bran and Rickon.
Yeah, and dancing.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember
Wait, what?
Arya?
Yeah, I think she.
I think
Oh, but no,
Sansa
yeah.
still thinks that
Thinks
she
that-
was taking dancing lessons.
Yeah. She's like, I don't know. We got to King's Landing and she just got really into dance all of a sudden. So I hope
Yeah.
she's back at Winterfell dancing.
Yeah.
Dancing a little hard out.
Like, she just has no idea.
Well, I think that she's projecting what she would do because she thinks about Arya riding through the winter town if she liked. I feel like that's what Sansa would like to do.
No,
Right?
Arya rode.
Yeah, Arya
Yeah.
rode. Because remember, she wouldn't
She was
go in the
compared to
litter.
Lyanna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like preferred to ride on the King's Road.
Well, here's a question: what's the winter town like? Because I think
Wintertown is a town that's built outside of the walls of Winterfell that only fills up as winter approaches.
Yeah.
People come to Wintertown
To be less
to
isolated.
be less isolated when winter comes, which is another reason why there should always be a Stark in Winterfell. Is that like the Wintertown is like the last refuge for so many crofters. and
Crofter's daughters.
Yep, and
Oh.
and you know, farmers and people who live on, you know, in nowhere, they can come to the Wintertown during the winter and have the support of the community around them and the resources of Winterfell, and to not have that is death for so many of those people. So that's the Wintertown.
I think I was projecting a little bit of Pride and Prejudice onto that. I was thinking of the winter town like,
Oh,
like
yeah.
going to Meryton.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like let's go to the shops and get some doilies.
Yeah, right.
So the only reason Sansa's able to get down to the Godswood is because there is shouting, distant at first and growing louder, many voices yelling together. So she sees men running on the walls carrying spears and torches, and that causes a big distraction. So she makes her way down there, and she sees Joffrey getting suited and booted to go out there. And later, after this scene with Dantos, she's coming back, and Boros kind of says what happened. Fools at the gate, some loose tongues spread tales of the preparation for Tyrek's wedding feast. I just want to go into what that is.
Oh, I was gonna say, who do we know that's good about spreading rumors?
Oh, Varys?
No, Littlefinger.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Littlefinger,
he would have
yeah.
orchestrated this distraction.
Orchestrated.
told the
the
small
riot,
folk, like,
yeah.
hey, I heard there's a feast.
I thought this just was luck that this happened, but it's probably not.
Oh, no, yeah, good thinking, Joel.
Yeah.
But I would like to explain the Tyrek's wedding feast.
Please do.
On page 41 of this book, at Joffrey's name day celebration, they mention Lady Ermasande, a babe seated on her wet nurse's lap. The talk was she would soon be wed to one of the queen's cousins, so the Lannisters might claim her lands. This is that cousin, Tyrek Lannister, and if you recall, in the original book, Game of Thrones, he, alongside Lancel, is Robert's squire. He's the breastplate stretcher.
Right.
So this kid's come a long way. He was King Robert's squire, and now he's getting married to a little baby. But I don't
the
want
lady
to bang
of
the baby. It's from Drunk Disney, Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where this kind of thing happens, you know? The
Yeah.
marriage arrangements are made with
Yeah.
babies and kids.
Yeah, because she's the head of a Crown Lands house
Yeah.
that doesn't have a male heir.
Yeah, so he's
And the
going to marry her and
Lannisters
get
are
that land.
consolidating that power. Yeah.
And so, obviously, right now, the small folk are not pleased with the fact that they're going to have a feast at this wedding, but I think they also get kind of upset about the whole arrangement in general. But just wanted to go over that.
Thank you.
I love how when Sansa does get to the Godswood, she prays, "Help me," she prayed, "Send me a friend, a true knight to champion me." Sir Dantos shows up, but later, Sandor Clegane shows up,
Yep, her true knight.
her true knight.
So we get two different people who do not, either in like technical distinction or in how they conduct themselves, meet the definition of true knight.
Mm-hmm.
And I wondered walking away from this, what do we learn about the two of them? Because or what does
Of
Sansa?
Dantos and Sandor?
Yeah, what does Sansa take from this? Because she does have one person who supports the stories, or could still fit within that Florian and like Jacqueline, Jacquil model, and someone who doesn't. And I wonder which she's going to trust after this.
Well, I think with Dantos is her starting to realize that knights aren't necessarily gallant and handsome, because You know, she thinks about how, yeah, he was homely too, maybe not so old, but she does, like, double back to give him a soft kiss and say, my Florian, the gods heard my prayer. Like, she's buying into this, and even if, as to your dismay, this is not Dantos acting of his own accord and being a true knight for Sansa, it's at least opening her mind to the idea that, oh yeah, a true knight might not look like Jaime Lannister.
And I think that there is, to your point, Joel, I think that there is some truth to, like, Dantos believes that he's doing the right thing. Like, he's when he says, like, you saved me, like, when you saved me that day, and I'm more of a knight now that I'm a fool and all that's true.
Yeah.
It's just Littlefinger knows that he can manipulate those feelings.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Prompting to have those thoughts, but they're true thoughts all the same.
And I think that it just... So I thought this before I knew that Littlefinger would be behind this, but it kind of sucks because she has been in a position where she's surviving on her own and figuring out how to take care of herself. And I think that she should get aid and get out of the city, but I don't like the idea that this is then tied to a story and that he has to be fulfilling the role of a knight in a story, because this is just going to bring her back to old ways of thinking and old habits where she's not empowered.
Which Littlefinger's exploiting.
I know! That's what makes it suck so much worse now!
But at the same time, though, like, Littlefinger and Dantos are using this explicit story that they're taking advantage of. But meanwhile, Sandor is filling the role without even trying.
Wait, does
that's true.
Does Littlefinger find out in game from Sansa herself that she loves the story of Dantos and Jonquil?
Of Florian.
I'm sorry, of Florian
I believe so. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, but if he
Javier?
does, that's huge because he files that away. Like, that's her favorite story. He's is he at the name day tournament with Joffrey?
Littlefinger?
Yeah, like when Tyrion arrives. I don't recall.
I don't
him
think
being there
so. I don't know if they
specifically.
make specific mention of it. I doubt it, because that's a pretty sparse.
Regardless, even if he wasn't there, I'm sure he heard about what happened.
Yeah.
And like, it's like, oh, Dantos was gonna get killed, but then Sansa saved him. Well, that sounds like.
File that away.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then later, it's like, oh, okay, I'll just have you. I'll have Dantos exploit that.
Yeah.
And because, like, as soon as he mentions that, he's like, the singers say there was another fool once who was the greatest knight of all.
Yeah.
She's like, Florian.
Yeah.
Like, that's her buying it.
And
A shiver went through
It's
her.
such a move that he pulls, though, because he does it with Ned, too. The way, hey, don't trust me. He betrays him. I told you not to trust me.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you shouldn't believe stories, little bird. You shouldn't believe stories. Here, believe this story.
Yeah, but then also, you shouldn't, and then that ultimately becomes, you shouldn't believe stories.
Yeah.
But like...
Let me teach you with a story why you shouldn't believe stories.
But it's the timing. There's no mention of Florian the Fool in a Game of Thrones.
Oh,
Thanks,
really?
Gunnar.
Thank you, Gunnar. You were wrong. There's no mention of Florian the Fool.
But I think it's interesting, too, the timing, because this plan is coming into fruition now that there's means for Littlefinger to extradite Sansa. Like, he's going to book a ship to Gulltown. We found out in the previous chapter. So now this plan is being put into effect.
And he specifically says, I need a few weeks to make preparations.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure if he wasn't planning to take Sansa, he could have just taken off. Like,
Oh,
the
yeah.
next day.
Yeah.
Like, what's
There's
he gotta
no
do?
reason for... Yeah,
Pack
right.
his velvets?
Yeah.
His velvet tublets?
Yeah. But, well, he gets bored wearing the same colors all the time.
So it's not a matter that his plan is so long-term that he needs this to pay off later in a book or two from now, or 2 seasons from now, whatever it might be. But it's that circumstances change, because if he could have, he would have taken Sansa at this point.
No, the whole point is that he needs the time to get Sansa out. He can't just take her because, like, they miss her.
Right.
He needs to set things in motion to get her out. So that's this. He's got a whole plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. I thought you were talking about something sooner.
But I do want to talk about Sandor. I think it's interesting that this interaction that Sansa and Sandor have. He mocks her a little bit.
Wait. Katie's saying we're bashing Sansa.
No, we're very pro Sansa.
We
Yeah.
love Sansa. Oh, maybe it's the rest of the people in the chat.
Oh,
They're bashing.
yeah. Don't bash Sansa. Sansa's great.
Yeah.
She's still, like, I mean, she's a captain.
And again, she is socialized like most girls are in this world to believe in these stories and believe in what the role of a woman is. And I think she's trying to wrest herself away from that, but it's hard.
And she showed a lot of growth and a lot of strength by even leaving her room.
Yeah, that's courage.
You know, that's a really important kind of courage.
A woman's sort of courage.
And
just courage.
Yeah, and
That's a quote.
No, I know.
And you know, she's very observant. She's exhibiting a lot of traits that Kat has about her with her intelligence. The problem that she has is that she's put in this position where she can't really, she's not nurtured at all. She's had her wings clipped.
Oh.
And I think that that's the problem with Sansa, more so than her being a naive or dumb character or anything. I don't think that's true at all. I think she's the product of her environment.
And everyone looks naive when they're stuck in Littlefinger's machinations.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, she's totally being manipulated by people who are much, much smarter than her and know so much more than her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's made explicit in this chapter at the very end that look around you, take a good whiff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, a dog can smell a lie. They're all liars here, and everyone better than you.
But I don't think that that's a jape as much as that is a warning.
Oh, I know. I agree. It's not an insult that she's not a good liar yet. She's just learning the game.
Sandor, drunk.
I think he's embarrassed that he's drunk.
You look almost a woman, face teats, and you're taller too, almost. I don't think he'd be saying that if he were sober.
Nope.
No.
He'd treat her better.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm no lord, no more than I'm a knight. Do I need to beat that into you? He reels and almost falls. Gods, too much wine. Like he's probably
embarrassed.
Yeah, he probably immediately regretted saying, "Do I need to beat that into you?"
Yeah, he says, "Drunk as a dog, damn me." Like he's upset about that, and you know, he mocks her. He says, "True wine," like she says, "True knight."
Yeah.
It's so funny.
But he, when he pushes her down the hallway, he says it's oddly gentle, and he says, "I'll take you there, keep you safe for the king." He's just keeping her safe. He's just guarding her.
Yeah, and she probably would have had a much more difficult time passing Sir Boros without him at her side.
And Sandor again lies for her.
Yeah.
When Sir Boros is like, "I went to the gods," you know, when Sansa lies to Sir Boros, Sandor supports that lie and immediately changes the subject.
Yeah, you expect her to sleep with all that noise. What was the trouble like?
Which is the same thing that he did with the name day thing with Sir Dantos.
With Sir Dantos, yeah.
So Sandor Clegane is her staunchest champion to this point, and the better answer to her prayers of a true knight. He is a gruff warrior who is looking out for her safety.
Well, what I wonder is, because we've seen him looking out for her when he's already there. He doesn't seem to be so far, to me, going out of his way to help her. If he is around, he will help her. Like if he is assigned to escort her somewhere. If he happens to be with Joffrey when she's in front of Joffrey. If he runs into her here. But so far I haven't seen him go out of his way yet.
I don't think he can.
No, I don't think he can. And I think that that's something that he probably struggles with too. And then part of the reason why he's not out fighting in the riot, Sandor has a lot of problems, I think, with who he is.
And
what his role is.
Exactly. Like, he knows Joffrey's a shit.
He mockingly calls the other, you and my other brothers, the other, you know, to Boros Blunt about the Kingsguard. It's not my turn to guard him tonight. You know, I think he knows that Joffrey's a piece of shit, but, you know, he tells this
He's
story.
not a brave boy?
He tells the story about the dogs chasing away the lion. A hound will die for you but never lie to you, who'll look you straight in the face. I think that the problem is that he knows that he has to avoid certain things because otherwise he would betray his feelings. You know, he has to stay away from, he has to remove himself from certain situations. Otherwise, he'd put himself in direct conflict with the people who control the purse strings. And there's a loyalty in being a dog, you know, and he still kind of feels that, I think, to the Lannisters because, you know, his family owes everything to them. He exemplifies more so the tenets of knighthood than pretty much any other knight we've met to this point, except maybe Roderick Cassell. So, you know, he's not a bad guy. And I think and going all the way back to Game of Thrones, I think he had genuine remorse for killing Micah, but he had no choice because of that
your
loyalty.
theory of him crying.
Tears in his eyes.
I still don't buy that, but
It can be read that way. It's from Ned's point of view, and you know how biased Ned's point of view is.
oh, for sure. I just don't see the Hound as a crying type. Not when he's sober.
I don't know. I just think it's something, especially in this book, through Blackwater, something to pay attention to.
I'll look out for it. And hey, I learned that there were actually lions over by Casterly Rock. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's definitely a case in which the fauna of Westeros is not similar to ours, because we would not have lions just
There
in...
were lions in Southern Europe.
Yeah, but not in England.
No, but like if you like in the climate of like where Casterly Rock is, it's like Spain.
There are lions in Spain?
There were.
Really?
Italy. I think they might have been imported, but they like lived.
Well, that was my question, because I don't think of lions as actually living. I thought maybe it was something that happened a long time ago, like Starks and direwolves.
Oh.
But there's still just lions roaming around the rock,
I think there are
the area
fewer,
nearby.
but they're around. And again, they might have been imported and then like gotten out, and now they're wild lions. But like,
horses in the New World.
Sure.
All right.
Q&A?
Yeah, sure.
Short
we'll do a quick
Q&A.
one. For those of you who have stuck around to this late episode.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Again, we had a crazy weekend.
But it's going to pay off, because it's all been for
When
you
can
guys.
we start teasing what we did yesterday?
That's up to you, boss.
I don't know.
Is the box set over here? Maybe we just show that. Is it around the curtain? Wasn't that where it was?
Yeah, on the speaker.
Yeah, the subwoofer.
Wait.
Favorite moment of this week's reading? Sansa and Sandor was my favorite moment of this week's reading.
Yeah, mine was Littlefinger.
Littlefinger was great too.
He had,
Yeah.
he had
Talking
some good
about
moments.
Littlefinger made me really appreciate Littlefinger more.
Yeah, I really saw like it kind of click for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like how fucking awesome he is as a character.
I loved Dany's stuff.
Danny's stuff was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great Danny chapter.
Figs. Love
We
the
won't
figs.
get a Danny chapter in next week's reading, which will be from Arya, right? Arya 3? Arya 4? Arya 5,
I'll
jeez.
put Arya 5, but I'll put it up in a minute because we're doing.
Let's just go ahead and put it
All
up
right,
now
sure,
in
I'll
case
put it up
people
now.
are going to take off. It's going to be Arya 5, which is page 289, to Theon 2, nice, 396. We'll get some Bran in there, which I'm excited about. Oh, that's probably
The Reeds.
the Reeds.
Any Catelyn yet? We got to check in with
Yeah,
her.
we get another Catelyn.
Ah, good.
Is that Catelyn in
2.
the Reach?
Oh, is this like Peach? Renly's Peach?
Is it Renly's Peach?
I think it's Renly's Peach.
Oh yes.
Don't get too excited. He just eats a peach.
Well, it becomes cool later.
I mean, there were peaches in Dany's chapter. You guys were freaking out.
Jorah's Peach.
we were
Jorah's
like
Peach
peaches.
is less iconic.
Oh yeah. So all I'm gonna show you from what we shot yesterday all day is this, and you can find out what we're doing with this in December, in about a month, almost exactly. I only have a month to edit that. Oh, just one of them. Oh, Graessle.
You especially dangerous dug you.
Oh god. When does next week's stream start? We're gonna go back to 3 o'clock.
Yep.
Yeah, let's plan on 3 again.
Yeah. 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern.
Yep.
I can't do the math fast enough for Europe, so figure that out yourselves.
Yeah, we don't know times. Make sure you give this a thumbs up. Give it a little like.
And hopefully this will post as it usually does with success. If it doesn't, we'll put up an audio version in the meantime. Though if you're here, doesn't matter. If you're listening now, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Joel talking to the future.
Talking to the future. Way
Yeah.
of future. Way of future. Any other questions?
Yeah, any other
real quick,
questions or
guys?
anything?
Before I have to cook dinner for my wife. The Hound has very strong feelings for Sansa. Could it be that he's trying to be the knight Sansa sings about her songs? Definitely.
Yeah.
I did have a question. What did he mean when he told her?
I'll have a song from you whether you will it or not.
Yes. What did he mean by that?
That's problematic.
Drunk Sansa,
that's
but
drunk.
Yeah, that's like that's.
Is that threat of?
I think that's. I want to believe that's him putting on the image of the Hound.
Yeah.
Like he's trying to be too vulnerable. It's like when he tells her the story of his scars and he's like, if you tell anybody, I'll kill you. Mm-hmm. He's like backtracking his vulnerability. I want to believe that. I don't think Sandor's that kind of person.
I didn't think so either.
Actually, like rape her.
I thought that, which led me to thinking it could be something else, and I wasn't sure what that could be.
I think he's just backtracking to be the image of the Hound.
Yeah, like he was just drunk and crying and like telling her about it again. And didn't that happen after he revealed the story of his scar?
Yeah,
it happens after he reveals the history of his house.
He's being too vulnerable.
Exactly. Yeah.
I wonder if, I don't know, you could read it another way, that one day I'll have a song from you, and maybe it's because he's going to give her a story worthy of a song.
Oh.
Some true heroism.
That's interesting.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He may not mean it that way.
But George could.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and that's interesting.
Someone asked Harry Potter clue. That is Saturday. Saturday at
11 Pacific?
Have we set a time?
No.
We haven't set a time.
11 Pacific.
Noon?
I think it'll be noon or 1.
Yeah.
When
Noon
did we do Game of Thrones?
Noon.
I think it was noon or 1.
Yeah.
Noon or 1 Pacific will be Harry Potter clue next week.
Yeah, if you can't make it, you can't win anything, but then you can watch it, and that'll still be fun.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll give away games.
So yeah, we got that. We got our Christmas Drunk Disney episode coming out in December.
Yep. A lot of stuff this month.
A lot of stuff going on.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us. Sorry that Chelsea's not here.
Yeah.
Sorry, and that we had to push. It was a busy, like we said, busy weekend, but there will be cool stuff coming out as a result of it.
Yes. And next week we'll be back to normal.
If you enjoy Book Club and enjoy the rest of our content, you can find a link in the description below to our Patreon page, where for as little as $1 a month, you can make a huge contribution to our channel that really improves the quality of our videos. We need a new mic cable, evidently, which is directly supported by you, our viewers. We really couldn't be doing all the stuff that we're doing. Harry Potter Clue, the news video series that we teased with Star Wars. It's because of your support through Patreon. So please, if you like our stuff, consider clicking that link and becoming a patron.
Yeah. And thank you for watching. Thank you for being here, joining us. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. You guys probably are. Follow us on social media at Practical Folks. Give this a like. And just send us your love. Send us your good times.
Sigils.
Also, seriously, send us your sigils, because we need those.
We feel the love of those sigils. They're amazing.
Yeah,
guys.
thank you, Megan, again.
McGilligot. Megan, thank you so much. This one's super cool.
McGilly.
Here, I'm gonna bring up the big one.
Make it big.
Big one.
Boom.
This is from Megan. Thank you, Megan. And we love that this one was handmade too. This wasn't made in a computer.
That's a hand-drawn picture.
That's super awesome.
That's a sweet little hand-drawn Lucy.
Yeah. So if you have a sigil, send it to us, practicalfolks@gmail.com.
Thanks, guys. All right.
Yeah.
So we are going to go watch Westworld.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys.
One more thing. Also, join us on Wednesday. James won't be there, but we're going to be streaming for a half hour at 8 p.m. Pacific.
I
I watch from your phone and give us donuts.
I will give you donuts.
Yeah, give us so many donuts.
Great.
Bigo.
Bigo.
It's just a separate app on your phone.
It's free.
It's free. 8 o'clock Wednesday, 8 o'clock Pacific Wednesday, 11 o'clock Eastern.
Sorry.
There's nothing we can do about that one, but join us.
We talk about TV or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Last time we talked about stuffed
animals. It's a weird day. All right. We good?
Yeah, we're good. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.